So Magmortar is a guy that's pretty much designed to be a special attacker. You know, shooting from cannons is kinda its whole thing. And since its base 125 special attack is pretty damn good, it's almost always built to be a special attacker. But what if I told you these cannons also function as hands that are in fact rated E for everyone? We can catch people off guard by pulling out Belly Drum to maximize our attack at +6, and pop a Citrus Berry in the process, making it pretty healthy. Now when we go for Flame Charge, which is only a 50 power physical fire move, it can usually do huge damage thanks to that Belly Drum, but also with the Flame Charge comes the +1 speed boost, now making our mediocre base 83 speed look pretty nice. We've also got Surprise Mach Punches for priority when we need it, and even Terra Blast Grass, which helps out both offensively and defensively. In general, Belly Drum Magmortar is something that isn't usually seen, but today we're going to try to destroy some people with it. Look, it always hurts to give up a big stat like Magmortar's special attack, but sometimes the element of surprise can definitely make it worth it. Plus, base 95 isn't even that bad, so today we're busting out the Belly Mortar and we're gonna try to have a fun time with it. I'm always doing weird Pokemon shenanigans over here, and if that sounds fun to you, you should consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes you a second, or you can just not click it either, that's fine too. And let's go ahead and get into the match. Alright, so my opponent decides to lead off with the Great Tusk, of course, and I have a Persian who got into a beehive, and our face is a little bloated. Either got stung by a bunch of bees or have a watermelon stuck in my head. Regardless, I'm thinking, you know what? This guy's tusks aren't even that great. Surely they're gonna go for a Stealth Rock expecting me to swap, so I'm gonna taunt it. And instead, I get just absolutely body pressed, which, you know, hurts. Super effective damage, but luckily I've got my Fur Coat ability. Doubles my defense, allowing me to live it, which is great, but I take a bunch of damage. And now I realize I gotta get my little Persian ass out of here. I can go for a parting shot. At least I stop this thing from, you know, being able to Stealth Rock into whatever I bring in. And as I parting shot, now I can go into whatever here. So I'm thinking, first of all, GlitchxCity would be a good swap in, but I can't really Stealth Rock in the face of it because it could potentially Rapid Spin. And while they don't know it, I don't have the Psychic coverage. So I'm thinking, you know what, I'm gonna go right into the Ninetales. And while I get up my Drought, I unfortunately have to give them Photosynthesis, which gives them a defensive boost. See, it kind of gives me a little bit to know about this Great Tusk, knowing that it's got Body Press. They do Earthquake on the switch in, which hurts, but it's just going to be a fully defensive kind of guy, I imagine. And as long as Ninetales isn't dead, we're in a great spot there. So the Parting Shot comes in clutch, allows us to live the Earthquake. And at this point, I'm not playing any over-prediction games. I'm going right for a Solar Beam. But they are going to swap into Great Value Zapdos. So, you know, Kilowattrel can take a Solar Beam easily. But honestly, at this point, my thought process is this. They don't have their Stealth Rock up. I can conserve Ninetales and be able to swap it back in, you know, to get my Drought back up later to enable something like the Venusaur if needed. So I realized I'm going to play the long game with that. I'm going to swap this thing out. I figure they probably Volt Switch here and then grab a position. But it's kind of in my best interest just to go GlitchxCity. Good part about a Volt Switch on a GlitchxCity is they're probably a little reluctant to bring in Great Tusk to Rapid Spin, obviously just being Psychic with my Lemon Head ass. But I'm just here to set up my Stealth Rock and do what I can there. So at this point, they now bring in Gengar, who is straight up floating, but he looks much cooler when he's just floating around up there. But Gengar is a little bit of a threat here. I don't know exactly what it wants to do. I do know, being max special defense, if it just straight up Shadow Balls here, I can take one. So I decided to prioritize getting up my Stealth Rock here. I try to limit some switches, going to be really bad for the Kilowattrel. But as they go for a nasty plot, Buddy is thinking some nasty thoughts over there, and that is a little scary. Now, I do get up my Stealth Rock, but now GlitchxCity is in danger. Honestly, everything's kind of in danger. I don't really have anything that wants to, you know, hard switch into a +2 Gengar, so I realized it's probably my best bet just to stay in here, try to get a knockoff if possible, but they do Shadow Ball straight from the mouth. Straight up spreading germs like a menace over there. And while I do go down, here's the thing. This Gengar is it's a problem, right? It's got doubled special attack, and since it didn't take any Hazard Chip, I'm almost 100% certain it's holding a Focus Sash over there. So the plan is this. First, I can go into Persian. I know that I'll be able to outspeed. I'm 5 points faster than the thing. And that's going to allow me to go for a knockoff. Now, I need to hit it with the knockoff. It does reveal it was Focus Sash, because then, as, you know, they finished me off with the Dazzling Gleam. That is fine. Persian kind of used up its value at this point. But now, since the sun is still up for, I believe, 2 more turns, I can go into Venusaur, who is going to be able to outspeed via Chlorophyll, and then kill it with an Earthquake. So look, I'm working with the physical Swords Dancing Venusaur here, which is kind of nice. I bring in the Frog. We're looking extra warty and froggy today. I can actually outspeed, go for a Poison Jab in case they want to swap into the Kilowattrel there. But regardless, that's going to kill the Gengar. and Crisis averted. The thing a little bit of a problem, but luckily we used the sun still pretty effectively, and that feels pretty good. So this is an interesting interaction here. Now as they bring in Cinderace, I have one turn of sun left where I can hit it with an Earthquake, but knowing that it likely does not kill without a Swords Dance, I'm thinking this. They probably are going to go Court Change here to be able to get the Stealth Rock on my side, and then that's going to allow Ninetales to no longer be able to swap in and get up the drought. But I feel like this is a great opportunity for me to switch right into the Magmortar. First of all, as they do go for the Court Change, I can bring it in, before I have to take Stealth Rock damage. But also, Magmortar looking at a Cinderace, this is a pretty good spot to be able to set up in front of. And sometimes that's all you need Magmortar to get, is a good little positioning here. So, knowing that they surely pivot here, they do click the U-turn, but this is great because now I'm able to go for a Belly Drum on whatever they want to bring in. And they go right to the Rhydon. So Rhydon, a little bit of a problem. Also keep in mind they do have their defensive Terror that they can still pull out at any moment. But as I Belly Drum, they're probably thinking, oh, okay, Magmortar's is a different kind of guy than I expected. I cut my HP in half, maximize the attack, pop a Citrus Berry, boom, we're above half. Now, Rhydon is, scary here because I'm thinking I need a Flame Charge at least to be able to guarantee that I can be faster than everything they've got in the back. So while it's not very effective and the sun is already gone, I need to click Flame Charge anyway. We need to get charging out here. But one way I can ensure that I don't die from an Earthquake is by going for that Terra Grass. I put the flower on my head, and as I go for the Flame Charge, not going to do much damage. Of course, Rhydon is a thick boy over there, and it takes it nicely, but I get my speed boost, and check this out. Instead of going for the damage, Buddy clicks Rock Polish, which at first is very scary, but then I realize Magmortar at +1 speed is faster than Rhydon at +2 speed, and I have the coverage with the Terra Blast at +6. It is a physical attack, but we still blast it out of the cannons. That is going to kill the Rhydon, and yet another Crisis averted. And not only that, but I mean, Magmortar is in a crazy good position here. At +6 attack and +1 speed, they don't have anything that can outspeed me, barring if this Kilowattrel is like Scarf or something. So, I'm just going to click Flame Charge. It is going to be able to just destroy the thing, but they go for the Terra here. I'm thinking maybe Terra Water is going to come through. It turns out to be Terra Ice. They probably think that maybe, a timid Kilowattrel has a potential to be able to outspeed, and then maybe they have the Terra Blast Ice. Regardless, I outspeed, and now since it's super effective, that does like 400% to the thing, and another Flame Charge is able to kill it. So Kilowattrel goes down. Your ass is not outspeeding Magmortar, even at +1. A base 83 speed goes a long way when you get to +1 speed. It's kind of wild, but that takes care of the Electric Bird. Buddy is in the straight up Shadow Realm, and now as they bring back in the Great Tusk, here's the thing. This thing is at full HP, but Magmortar does not give a damn. I can go for the Terra Blast at +6, even if this thing is max defense, guaranteed one-hit KO. That is insane. Down goes the Tusk. Luckily, it didn't have the defensive photosynthesis. That would have been bad. But, we just absolutely delete the Great Tusk, which is sick. And now, they really do not have many options here. They can go into the Feraligatr. I can Terra Blast his ass, but they decide to head out. Now, that is going to be the end of the match on that one. And that is just how quickly a Magmortar can get out of hand by just clicking Flame Charge once. And that was an interesting game. Physical Magmortar turns out to be pretty damn cool. And we're not done yet. That's going to bring us into game number 2, because I want to see if we can get our belly drummed against some other fools. And look, if you've stuck around this far into the video, you gotta hit the like button. It's required by law, and Magmortar will be knocking on your door soon if you haven't clicked it yet. So, just looking out for your own safety. And with that, let's get into the game. Alright, so this time, as my opponent's gonna lead off with the Rhyperior, one thing I noticed from Team Preview, they do not have any hazard control. And the way I can exploit that is just straight up lead off with Uxie. I'm gonna get Stealth Rock up turn 1. I see things like the Gengar in the back. It could be Focus Sash. I want to break all sashes if possible, because that's just one way to easily stop a potential sweep. I got a couple different guys that can sweep on the squad. The moral of the story is I get up my Stealth Rock for free. And as they click Rock Blast, it ends up missing, which is funny because I sometimes forget that it can even miss. We get the lucky 10% chance. Not only that, but then I'm like, what? If this thing's loaded dice, I'm just going to knock those off. I tell his ass to knock it off. Turns out to be a weakness policy, which is fine. And as they click Heat Crash, they maybe expect to swap into something like the Venusaur. Regardless, it doesn't do anything to a thick-ass Uxie. And Lemonhead we got is able to just take hits. So now realizing I don't really have much that I can do to this thing offensively, I got rid of its weakness policy, so we're feeling pretty good. Now I'm going to hit a U-turn. We flip a bitch real quick, and now I can decide what I want to bring in here. So knowing that they clicked Heat Crash, it didn't do much, but I'm like, I don't know exactly what they want to go for here. I'm thinking probably set up Stealth Rock. So I'm like, you know what? Might as well get the sun going early. We're inside the cafe and it's about to get bright. And I'm like getting sunburnt inside. So I come in, get up my drought, and as they click Rock Blast, it misses again. I'm like, what the hell is even going on here? The Rhyperior's got to get its eyes checked. That's actually pretty damn wild that it missed the 10% twice. But regardless, I'm now going to click Solar Beam because we show no mercy. And that is going to just delete the Rhyperior. They do not end up swapping out there. Get the critical. Not only do I get him to miss twice, but then I hit him with a crit. So I'm kind of feeling bad. But that's a dead Rhyperior out of the way. And while the sun is up, I want to try to take advantage of that as much as possible. So they end up going into Feraligatr. Now, they just saw me click Solar Beam, so I'm like, surely this thing's going to pull out a defensive Terra and then go for something like a Dragon Dance, and then all of a sudden I'm in trouble. And while the damage is reduced by the water, obviously with the sun being up, I'm going to save the Ninetales for later. It's not really worth the risk. I want to ensure that I can get that drought back up if needed. And also, yeah, 8Bs over here is a pretty easy guy to switch into physical attacks. Now, it does turn out they do go for the liquidation. Gets the crit there, and in the sun, doesn't even do half of the crit, which is sick. But at this point now, I go for a parting shot. So the theme with this team is I have multiple different kind of momentum moves. With a parting shot, I can dampen their offenses and then be able to bring in things to try to get going. Now, I obviously can't really go Magmortar here just because I still don't really want to take water attacks. I need all the health I can to be able to get off a belly drum. So instead I figure, hey, you know, maybe it's time for a little Venusaur action. As I bring this thing in, it turns out they Dragon Dance, and that's going to bring its physical attack back to neutral, which is fine. It is still going to be faster, but I'm going to be quicker with, you know, Chlorophyll here. Main thing I'm worried about now is going to be an Ice Punch. And I'm thinking I could probably take one just with neutral attack. If it was still +1, we'd probably die, but I'm going to Swords Dance myself. Nothing worse than a Sharp Plant. And check this out. They do have the Ice Punch, but I'm able to live it, which is incredibly clutch. Now that I'm faster, I can fire off a Petal Blizzard, which is sweet. That bad thing is, though, I am Life Orb, so while I take too much from that Ice Punch, they end up swapping into a Salamence. Does not end up being Intimidate, which is good, because as I hit it with a Petal Blizzard, resisted, but it still, you know, gets some considerable chip, brings it down below half, and then my warty ass just goes down to my Life Orb. So it's not going to be Venusaur's day to sweep, but now we've got this Salamence here that's at half health, and I'm thinking, you know, I could probably try to take advantage of this a few different ways. So first of all, I'm going to go Uxie. Now, I've got my Stealth Rock already. I'm thinking I can honestly go for Memento here. Just drop this thing's offenses by half and then be in a great spot to set up. So as they click Hurricane, Buddy goes for the Raw Dog Hurricane in the sun, which is ridiculous. It obviously misses. And Memento is now, even if they connect on a Hurricane, not going to hurt. So I drop its offenses by 2, which is sick. I do, you know, waste the Uxie, but it's fine because with that, I've got myself a spot with Magmortar to where surely I should be able to set up in the face of this thing. Whenever I see a, you know, special attacking Salamence, I'm always worried about potential for a Hydro Pump, but honestly, in the sun and after a Memento, it's kind of a free position to Belly Drum here. Now, they do end up swapping out, and in comes Gliscor. Now, listen, ordinarily, a special attacking Magmortar does not care that much about a Gliscor swap in. Flamethrower easily 2-hit KOs, especially in the sun. But as I go for a belly drum, it's going to get a little more interesting because physical Magmortar is a bit different in this matchup. So I get the belly drum for free though, which is always great because after Citrus, I took like a little bit of damage. As the sun goes away, of course, Gliscor just activates its Toxic Orb. Big meaty claws over here is a real pain in the ass. And if there's anything we know about Gliscor, it's gonna click Protect here just to get that Toxic Heal and also be annoying in the process. Regardless though, if it does want an Earthquake, I'm kind of obligated to go for the Terra Grass. I just need to ensure that I can live in Earthquake if that's what they want to click. So I put the flower on my head. We're looking great, feeling good about ourselves, and I do still need a Flame Charge here. So they do go for the Protect because, of course, every single Gliscor, I've said it too many times. We Flame Charge, Protect is not going to help us out there. But at this point, I still should be able to take any attack this thing wants to throw at me. And with the combination of Flame Charging once and then hitting it with the Terra Blast, I should be able to grab a knockout here. It's going to be close, but that's what I'm thinking. So I go for the Flame Charge. It does do a nice little chunk there. It actually, Buddy did not enjoy that. And as they imagine they're probably going to be defensive enough, they go for a Swords Dance. And here's where it gets interesting, because after the Swords Dance, they can definitely knock me out with some type of coverage move that's not Earthquake. But also they can Protect again to get another turn of Toxic Heal. So, you know, just classic Gliscor doing classic Gliscor stuff. And I mean, this is kind of worst case scenario for a physical Magmortar, is just having to deal with this damn thing. But they get their Poison Heal. It's going to bring them up above half. And a Flame Charge is close to being in range to kill, but guess what does kill? Is a nice little Terra Blast, now being Stab, of course. Stronger base power. Should be able to grab a kill. We easily, obviously, outspeed. And we pop the old blast. Just fire off the physical cannons, and that's going to be a dead Gliscor. So that is what we absolutely love to see, is Gliscor's dying. Not only that, but then we're just at +1 speed with the damn thing, and that just oftentimes is enough, honestly, with Magmortar. A lot of the times you're able to get up more than one of them, but with just one Flame Charge, you're usually pretty good. Now, as they go Gengar here, check this out. They're going to go Endure, which leads me to believe there's definitely a berry, probably a Salic berry back there. And that's going to make things crazy, because as I go for a Flame Charge, look, it endures the hit, lives it with 1, and I get my speed boost, which is the most important thing. It does Cursed Body, disables my Flame Charge, but now as they pop a Salic Berry, we're actually still in the unique position to where Gengar at +1 speed is still slower than Magmortar at +2 speed. So thankfully we got that second Flame Charge off, because now I can fire off a Terra Blast to just pick off that last HP. And the Endure Gengar is kind of crazy, especially with Cursed Body. But that's going to be able to take care of it, and the Flame Charge coming in clutch once again. So now as they bring in Salamence, the Stealth Rock obviously does its thing, and this thing has just taken, you know, way too much damage. Every single one of my attacks is resisted. But at +6 attack, it doesn't really matter, especially when we have as much damage as we do. A Terra Blast is going to finish it off. We love to see the resisted hits just killing big threats. And people probably getting pissed off at the Magmortar at this point, because as they go back Excalibur, this thing is potentially has Ice Shard. And I think it would be hilarious if I outspeed it and kill it with a Mach Punch before it's able to get it off, but they're just going to head out. If they do not want to play with the Belly Mortar anymore, and that's going to do it. We're just getting people to head out, and that's hilarious. So Magmortar grabs another victim, and that's always a good time. Now look, I was going to end it there, but I'm like, you know what, let's hit it with one more. These belly drum sets are incredibly fun, especially with things like Magmortar. So I've got a third match for you here, a little bonus, if you will. And we got an interesting team we're going up against. So with that, let's get into this one. All right, so check it out. From Team Preview, I know that they're going to lead Galvantula. We see Sticky Web, and that is honestly a pretty big problem for my team. So, you know, knowing that the Galvantula is going to be out there as a lead, I can decide to lead off with the Persian, who is going to be faster in an Alolan fashion, and I'm able to go for a taunt, which is great because I know this spider surely is going to click Sticky Web, and it does. Thank God we at least get the taunt correct that time, because I am still in danger of a Bug Buzz coming my way. So, you know, knowing that this thing most likely just stays in and clicks Bug Buzz here, I can go for the Parting Shot. We are speedy, and this team just loves, you know, going for I call it the reverse screens. I'm just going to drop your offenses instead of raising my defenses, and try to allow that to give me momentum for good positions here. So, with that Parting Shot, knowing that a Bug Buzz is coming as well, I can go into the Ninetales. Not only to get up the sun, but also threaten this thing out with, you know, a fire attack. The sunlight turns harsh. The granny in the back over there better be putting her sunscreen on. And the Bug Buzz comes through and, you know, it does nothing. So we at least, most importantly, stop the Galvantula from getting its Sticky Web up early. And, you know, that's probably going to end up being a factor later, but we're just going to have to deal with it when it happens. So I'm just going to go for a Weather Ball. Want to get some damage on whatever they want to swap into. And it turns out to be the Hisuian Arcanine. Now, Weather Ball obviously doesn't do anything to the guy. It does resist it, and now I am in danger. This thing from a head smash, it just hurts a lot. So I'm like, you know, well, I'm just going to swap into Persian here. If it's not Scarf, I can likely take one attack and then Parting Shot it. And, you know, just come out here with my big-ass watermelon head and soak up some rays. Now, it turns out it's going to go for Rock Slide, which I take much better than a head smash. I guess Buddy just wants to work with the Rock Slide flinches. At first I thought maybe that means it's just like a defensive set with Flash Fire instead of Rock Head, but it took a Weather Ball, so I don't know what the hell this Arcanine's all about. Just the most evil flinch canine I've ever seen. But regardless, I'm going to Parting Shot on the thing to try to get myself a spot with one of my sweepers. Now, as they bring in Galvantula, here's the thing. First of all, the special attack drop is pretty damn valuable, because now also I get a switch initiative. And I know that this is a greedy little spider over there, so I'm going to try to capitalize on that by going right into Magmortar. Now, Magmortar is not generally a setup line, so I feel like they're probably just like, you know, I can take a Flamethrower, live it with my Focus Ash, get up my Sticky Web. That's the priority. Now, they do go for the Sticky Web because, once again, greedy spider doing greedy things, and that is perfect because that's going to put me in a spot to get up my nice little free Belly Drum, and that is sick because even if I get hit by its strongest attack being something like Thunder, with that special attack drop, I should surely be able to take one of them. And then, after the Citrus Berry, we're pretty damn healthy, but I can also then Flame Charge, and then after the first one, I can outspeed it. So, I mean, we've got part of the setup already good to go. They go for the Thunder. It does connect in the Sun, and we live it. Luckily, thank Lord Arceus, we do not get the Paralyze there, which is clutch as hell. I go for the Flame Charge. That just straight up knocks out the guy, and just like that, Magmortar is now at +6 attack, +1 speed, and shout out to the parting shot for that one. So, now as they go Hisuian Arcanine, this thing would outspeed if Choice Scarfed. But I got myself a Mach Punch anyway. It's more than likely going to be Scarf. But then it's Rocky Helmet, so like it is defensive. Regardless, a Mach Punch kills it and surprises it anyway. And that's a dead Arcanine. So that was the only coverage move I even have to kill something like that. So Mach Punch coming in clutch, which is fun as hell. +6 Mach Punches is interesting. So now here's the thing: they go into a Noivern here, and Noivern, I think I get a kill with the Flame Charge in the Sun. I'm actually not exactly sure on the count, but they're going to end up going for the Terra Normal. They, I guess, want to boost Boom. I mean, I have like a third of my HP left. They go for the Terra Normal, which I'm able to outspeed, and now a Flame Charge in the Sun surely is able to grab a kill. And Buddy just straight up misplays on the Terra and pays the eternal price for that one. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, maybe I thought they were going to get hit with some type of electric coverage. Regardless, that's a dead-ass Noivern, and we'll take those all damn day. I got to assume they thought my 4th slot was going to be some type of coverage on it, but hey, now the old freaking crazy Magma Duck is going on a tear, because as they bring in Swampert, that's a bad matchup for me. Psych, we got the Terra Grass, and then the final move slot is going to be revealed with the old Terra Grass Blast. So once again, Terra Grass coming in extremely clutch on the thing. I can then just hit it with a Terra Blast, and just one singular blade of grass would kill this Swampert. Buddy is allergic as hell, let alone an entire Flower Blast to the forehead. That's a dead Pert, and Magmortar is straight up running through folks with some help of misplays, but we'll take it, because now as Weavile comes in, this is a fun situation where I'm like, oh, they're like, I can click an Ice Shard, but then they forget about the Mach Punch. Boom. These cannons also function as fists, and that's going to be definitely a dead Weavile. A +6 Mach Punch, 4 times super effective. It does not matter who the hell you are. That's going to get a kill. So, you love to see it. Now, their final Mon is going to be the Venusaur, and this thing is in a bad, obviously, I honestly kind of thought they were going to run. They fully let the Body Bag come through as I finish it with the Flame Charge. And down goes young Bubba. So, Magmortar once again showing people why you cannot sleep on the guy and just let things happen. So, that's going to be the end of that one. Thank you guys very much for watching. I had a lot of fun with this one. They actually end up they turn their switch off there. I don't know what the hell happened. But that's kind of makes it more funny. I don't know. Regardless, thank you guys very much for watching. Had a good time, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.